Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, Aerial Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance. Additional funding has been provided by AKA Hotels Corman Communities, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, AVR Realty Company, Avison Young, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, JP Morgan Chase, Citizens Bank, Cohen Equities, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Connect One Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Pulcinelli, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Knackle Group at Cushman & Wakefield, the Merinkoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
It's called Long Island. It's a place that my friend Allan Rose remembers when the expressway ended in Valley Stream, then Hicksville. It's a place where you can live, work, shop, visit, have a lot of fun. It's a place of probably one of the best vineyards in the country next to the California. So today I've assembled this group of dynamic business executives to provide their thoughts on what's happening in Long Island. As I mentioned, I have the man who's been involved with Long Island for probably 65 years at least.
That's all.
My buddy Allan V. Rose, chairman, founder, and CEO of AVR. Then we have the biggest open shopping center company in the U.S., Josh Weinkranz, who is the president for the Northeast region at Kimco. Ed Blaskey, who is the market president for Sterling National Bank and also an executive vice president. And last but not least, the 800-pound gorilla of residential, Chris Capece, who is the senior development officer for AvalonBay Properties. You know, I've taken the senior member on one side to the younger guy on this side. How have you seen the opportunities today? I don't want to talk about the past. What are the opportunities taking place in Long Island? Because you're involved with hotels, you're involved with retail.
I think the opportunities today have to do more with the obsolescence of the properties that are out there now. Most of the old apartment houses are unlivable. There's about 500,000 people, they estimate, probably live in illegal basement apartments. Now, slowly but surely, they're trying to get those people out of there because it's really a life safety issue. But there's no new people coming in. I would say that Nassau County is ahead a few thousand people. Suffolk is down a couple of thousand people. But there's no meaningful increase in the population. So the opportunities are to make it better and nicer, more amenities, and rely on the fact that your product is going to be nicer than the existing product.
Let me hit it to the banker, who's the one who's over there. In order to make the changes to have more retail, to have more residential, to have more health hospitals, amenities, hotels, and so on, you need money. How's the banking community look at Nassau and Suffolk County?
I think if you look at the number of banks, that want to come into this market, from the upper regional banks to some of the startup banks, you can make the argument it's overbanked with the number of banks that are here, and credit unions you could add to the mix as well. But there's a vibrancy, there's a density and affluence here, there's so much opportunity. So as much as we say, it's sort of capped out as far as how many people are here on Long Island, the opportunity to make it, to be better at what you do, which is the focus points, it's all about the delivery.
You were bringing up in the green room that you have 3 kids who it's going to be difficult for them to remain in Long Island because it's expensive to live in Long Island. There's not available workforce housing, and the millennials want something. They want to live in the city. They want to have more amenitizing. They want other situations. How do we handle that?
Well, I think the business opportunities create higher paying jobs, which allow people to come to Long Island, and the ones that are here that want to stay and buy homes and raise families, I think that creates that opportunity. But that is the challenge, and over the last number of years, a lot of organizations like the LIA and others are taking on these issues and saying, look, it's a real concern. How do we keep seniors here, right? Not everybody has to go to Florida. How do you create an opportunity for people making good livings, but enough that they can live in the amenities and the lifestyle that they would like?
Now, Long Island has a significant number of age-restricted communities over 55. You don't build age-restricted, but as you were saying prior in the green room, many of your developments attract people over 55. What do you see that happening?
Yeah, so I think, to Mr. Rose's point, there are a couple of things going on in Long Island. We for us, we get, our renters before and after the single-family home, right? So you have an affluent customer base that's looking for something that is not readily available on Long Island. So just like our younger demographic is looking for that cool downtown, walkability to the train station, fantastic retail that Josh is providing throughout Long Island, our comfort creature empty nesters are really looking for something similar where at the end of the day, they're done with the single family home. They don't want to do the hedges. They don't want to mow the lawn. They want a lifestyle where they can maybe walk to the restaurant and walk back home. And we're starting to give folks that sort of opportunity on Long Island.
Your open air shopping centers, okay, are you building different types? Are you changing the type of structure today?
Yeah, we are. I mean, in the future, we are planning to build a lot more residential, mixed-use product within our shopping center assets. We have a lot of older product where we can add more density by adding residential on top of retail. And it's something that we've been spending a lot of time on over the past couple of years to figure out which assets are not only in the right market, in the right location to add that density, but which are also set up in a way that we can do that over time to create value and to further develop the real estate.
As I was alluding when I spoke about Allan at the initial time when he went to Valley Extreme and the roads, one of the big important areas that you have to have is the capability of transit-oriented developments, okay? And there has been more over the last couple of years. I think maybe some of the towns and the other people are being more free with the zoning. You have this development in Yapong, which is not really transit-oriented. You have to drive over.
Don't say that.
But it's not that far.
The state right now is planning a brand new railroad station in Yaphank on our property, because our property is right on the Long Island Railroad, a lot of it. And there's many problems, as you can imagine, like who's going to do this and who's going to do that. But they've already allotted $20 million from the state to do the planning and the route acquisition. But we had 2,100 acres there. So on the north side, we're building what we call the Boulevard, which is a shopping center, ALR, hotel, rental housing, for sale housing, a whole mixed-use development. And one of the reasons it took so long is that there are very few mixed-use developments that make any sense. Either the parking is in the wrong place, or what are you going to do? Walk out of your apartment and fight people who are in the shopping center for the parking? But we worked out all those details. Of course, we had a lot of land for very reasonable amount of money, and it worked.
But I think something, we were talking about your friend Jerry,
Right.
okay, who's building at the old Pilgrim State Hospital
Right.
site, and they approved housing, 15-story housing, which we really don't ever see in Long Island, with the exception maybe in Long Beach or certain other markets, with limited parking requirement.
Right.
But so here's my question: with the Uberization of car sharing, you have GMAC who owns Maven, and there are other car sharing services, and the fact that they finally allowed the other taxi services, the Lyft and the Uber, and you'll see more coming out to Long Island. People aren't in need of a car as much. People don't use their cars as much.
Right.
Do you see that changing the complex of the business, of the residential, the office, the retail, and the hospitality?
Definitely the retail. I mean, retail is built with, the requirement to have a lot of parking for your retail. If in the future people are using driverless cars or Uber and they're not using as much of the parking, that excess capacity could be used for other things. We could use it to expand the retail portion of the property, or we could do other sorts of development. Maybe we do residential on top of the retail, and now we don't need as much parking to
Right.
support that.
Are you seeing new companies, new corporations coming out to Long Island today?
Yes.
Are you seeing people relocating from the city? I know there have been some relocations from Brooklyn and other parts of the city.
Yeah, there's been a number of good success stories over recent years. I think for a while you saw a lot of outflow of businesses. Over the past number of years, you've seen some big, what I would say are wins for Long Island. But again, it all comes down to having skilled workers and having people here. It's not only the cost, but it's an issue of can you get the workers for whatever particular business you're in. But I think the trend is positive, and it's heading more towards people moving here. And I think there's an awareness that, through the IDAs and different agencies, that you need to come up with tax incentives and ways to incent folks to either stay here or relocate here.
So, Chris, what type of incentives are you seeing, and I'm going to say the same thing to Allan and maybe Josh, that the municipalities are trying to do to encourage you to build, okay? Yeah. Because you have to build, okay? You must have the housing for the workforce housing and then just the general people.
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the questions that I often get asked is, so why now? Right? Why is apartment development and delivery of this sort of supply so important at this stage? And it's multifold. But the first is where the millennials are in the kind of time continuum, right? Which is they are becoming of housing age. They are graduating from college. They are getting out of school, and they are moving out of their parents' house. And now they are coming of housing age, where they are making a few dollars, want to live in a place, a new community that is nice, and not live in the basement apartment like you'd mentioned before.
That's a big factor.
It is a big factor. And so the second thing is some of the IDAs have taken a leadership position in saying that the multifamily development sector needed help in order to start to get over the economic hurdles in order to develop, okay? The Yaphank property has a pilot.
We have IDA financing.
Right, has a pilot associated with it. Rockville Center, my 2 phases in Rockville Center, as well as my community in Great Neck, all have pilots associated with it. So,
for my audience, explain what a pilot
so a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes, and it's similar to New York's 421A. So it's a phased-in tax program that happens over time, and what it does is it gives you predictability from the low end of the tax payments to the high end of the tax payment when it goes to market rate taxes. So without those, we wouldn't be able to develop, and they're very important for us on Long Island.
Do you have that opportunity in the retail space?
Not so much in the retail, no. I mean, we're spending a lot of time redeveloping our assets, trying to re-tenant them. We expand them where we can to add more density where the market, really demands it. But we're not seeing a lot of, a lot of incentives from the Long Island at this point.
Ed, in the same manner, the state of New Jersey has something called Grow Green opportunities, where they give the tax incentives, where the companies really save significant savings. Are you seeing companies who are relocating from New York City or other markets who open up in Nassau and Suffolk County gaining this opportunity? Is that something over there?
Well, I think the whole Go Green initiative is a huge issue. I mean, for I think every state that you're in. I mean, even if you look at the banks, I mean, there are a lot of banks that are actually going green just, themselves, much as lending money to companies. But that is a big issue. And certainly if you look at some of those programs in conjunction with like the SBA, right, it's a great opportunity to take somebody that has that incentive.
I mean, another situation that you have right now, people don't realize, if you relocate from Manhattan to Brooklyn as an office tenant, you have REAP benefits, relocation benefits. Are those type of relocation benefits available to office tenants in Long Island?
I have not seen that.
No. Subsidies you get from going green, provided you have a certain rating, LEEDs, platinum or gold, you do get deductions from your real estate tax.
So here,
So you would get the same benefit in Long Island as you would in New Jersey.
here's a question. I did a show recently on the Jersey waterfront. We were talking about one of the things that really helped the Jersey waterfront, the Gold Coast, that we would say, was the high-speed trains. Okay, the light rail, they would call it, the light rail going between towns. One of the proposals of Mayor de Blasio in New York City is to have a trolley system, the SFX they call. Do you see the possibility, because that could help Long Island to attract people, because if you're not near the railroad, if you're not near the highway and you don't want to drive, the biggest problem is you may have opportunities for development, but you have to drive. You have to be able to there. Are there anything taking place like that? Any type of ideas that the Long Island Association is thinking about with regard to transportation?
Everybody's thinking about everything, but nobody's done anything. And I've spent a lot of time going through this with the LIA and Libby and everybody. It turns out, from my own experience, that we have some transit-oriented apartments. Every tenant, whether he takes the train or not, wants to have a car, because you don't want to sit in your house. If you want to take a ride someplace, the public transportation in Long Island is almost negligible. So it doesn't solve the problem of the cars. People want to have cars, even though it is a transit-oriented development, maybe a little bit less. But another reason that it's very easy in New Jersey, you got like concentrations of people. Hoboken is one.
But
Weehawken. You go in Long Island, if you want to go from Huntington to Suffolk County, it's a whole trek.
I agree. We have two divisions in reality. Your world in Nassau County is totally different than the world in Suffolk County.
Particularly eastern Suffolk County.
Right. And I'd say that, and it's a business point of view. I mean, for example, in West Hampton Beach, Grabitsky Airport, I mean, they're building this industrial park over there. It's not far from the Sunrise Highway. Okay, it's right nearby, but it's not a neighborhood that you would think of market. Ironically, I met with someone who told me that the former county executive wanted to make a major medical center over there in Peconic Bay, that they were going to lead everything, but one or two of the hospitals didn't want to be part of it. That was going to be a hub. People want to be there, but what do we need to do to increase, to press the button for growth again? Any idea?
It's a difficult question. There is not enough infrastructure for hospitals. You need tremendous sewer capacity to put a hospital in there. Somebody, not us, but the government, maybe in conjunction with some development people, has to do all this. They have to put sewers throughout Suffolk County to make that thing grow.
Besides that, one of the articles that I was recently reading, and if you look at MacArthur Airport, I mean, look at the problems that you have at LaGuardia. Okay, eventually they'll be taken care of. But MacArthur Airport, even though I won't fly Frontier, has a great opportunity. It's easy to go to. It's like Westchester County. It has that opportunity, and you have a great location. That's an area that could do work.
From an infrastructure standpoint, it is, I mean, one of the primary things we should be talking about on Long Island is the fact that the Long Island Railroad, for all its faults, is the busiest commuter train in the entire country, and I believe in all North America. And so we have to take advantage of those opportunities that are at the train stations. Now, we talked about cars for a second and parking ratios. So, and Mr. Rose is absolutely right. We're a bedroom community, so we're going to need our cars to go north-south. So we're not going to just eliminate cars, but what we can do is decrease the car ratios. And so we're doing two things, which I'll mention quickly. The first is Zipcar, right? We have partnered with Zipcar at Rockville Center, where maybe the first car somebody owns, but maybe that second one, if you have people that are commuting on the train and they need to split time and go in different directions, there's a second car there in the form of Zipcar. The other thing that we're doing at Avalon Great Neck is we've partnered with Uber to subsidize their trips to the downtown in Great Neck, to the train station in Great Neck. So we're trying to implement some of these things with technology like we were talking about.
You're doing it that way. Is Kimco thinking of that? I mean, it sounds like a logical idea to get people to go to your shopping
Yeah, well,
centers.
we have
like
a
the
partnership.
trolleys or something like that. Or
Not
these.
so much trolleys, but we have a partnership with Zipcar as well. We have them at many of our shopping centers, mainly out in the Hamptons, where people maybe take the bus out there or another form of transportation and need an extra car when they're there. So we have Zipcar as a partner with several of our properties. And we are thinking about ways that the driverless car and Uber is going to change the retail landscape. As we talked about before, the parking ratios will change, and that presents opportunity for us. So we're watching that closely.
Now, with the changes in retail, who are the new tenants who are taking over spaces today out in Long Island and in your marketplace? Are we seeing more Ross stores, TJ Maxx, fast casual place, food shops, and so on?
Yes, all of the above. We've done a lot of deals recently with all the TJX concepts, Ross, Burlington Coat. TJX has a new concept out called Home Sense that opened up their first store last week up in Boston. I know they're working on deals for Long Island. It's a sister store to Home Goods, so there'll be a growth vehicle there for us. You have grocers like Lidl, German grocer, that's coming to Long Island.
Aldi is already there.
Aldi's here, Trader Joe's is here, Lidl will be coming within the next year.
Stu Leonard's is in your shopping center already.
Stu Leonard's, we brought the first Stu Leonard's to Farmingdale a little over a year ago. They're opening the next one. I think it opened last week. There are tenants like Floor & Decor, which is a home improvement type outfit around 80,000 square feet, sells nothing but home flooring and decor items. We did a
And
deal.
then you brought the hobby shop.
Hobby Lobby. We did the first Hobby Lobby on Long Island in Comac. That store opened up about 4 months ago in Comac. That was a former Sports Authority that we released the Hobby Lobby. So there's a lot of new tenants out there that are taking space. So all the talk about the retail apocalypse and everything is really not true in our market. There's a tremendous amount of demand from retailers to come to Long Island.
And actually the vacancy rates on Long Island are positive outliers in the country. So
Right. I mean, the office vacancy rate is very low in Nassau County, and Suffolk County is dropping also significantly over there.
I have to say one thing that's contrary to what he said.
We always like a little
on
controversy.
existing properties, everything you say is true. But if you want to sit down and pencil out to build a new shopping center, all these tenants have been spoiled. In the last recession, the rents went down, let's say, from $30 a foot to $15 a foot, and they haven't come up because there's thousands of empty stores all over the country. You go to TJ Maxx or you go to any of the anchors, they have piles of office like this, and all they want to pay is $15, $60. It's okay if you own the center already, but there isn't one retail center to build new where you can build a traditional center with anchor stores. That really works.
But you also gain on that side. I hate to play the opposite side. The Amazon and the Jets of the world are building fulfillment centers. So these fulfillment centers create jobs, okay, out there. It creates housing opportunities because people have to live, work, and shop over there. Now, you're one of the few people who've built new hotels out in Long Island. What do you see happening over there in the
Well, I'll
hospitality?
give you an interesting story, and this is typical of the whole business. 3 years ago, we had a lot of property. We had a Waldbaum store and everybody else in Carl Place, and it was empty. So I decided, I looked around. There hadn't been a new hotel built in 25 years. So we built a Homewood Suites, a very nice product, and a Spring Hill Suites, and we were killing them. We were doing 85, 90% business. As soon as the industry found out how good this is, because Carl Place is an interesting place. You don't have to fight the traffic on Old Country Road. You can come from north to south and get there in half the time. There's been 6 new ones built since we built ours, which is okay. You know, we're doing okay, but there's a very big barrier to entry in any place but, let's say, downtown Nassau, where they have sewers all over the place.
Well, with regard to the barriers of entry, there have been lots of banks who have really gone out to Long Island. I mean, when you took over and built up everything at TD over the years and did a great job, I mean, there weren't that many banks. I mean, People's United wasn't out there.
Correct.
And even the credit unions. And everybody believes that there are great opportunities. I mean, is Long Island becoming overbanked?
I don't think so. I think it's very competitive, there's no doubt, and there's competition at every level, small banks right up to the money center. So the focus is on execution. So I think every bank that's in the market feels if I deliver in a space that I want to play and do it better than somebody else, if you look at the deposit opportunity metrics, you look at the loan opportunity metrics, you look at the density and affluence, it all adds up that if you do it well, you can be very successful on Long Island, which is why, we have that level of competition.
Where do you see an AvalonBay over the next 5 years out in Nassau and Suffolk County? On potential developments.
Yeah,
Because it takes a long time, as Allan has alluded.
Sure. Some of those opportunities, unfortunately, I can't talk about right now. We continue to be interested in Nassau County. We've probably been as active an apartment developer in Nassau County over the last 7 years as anybody else in the region. We built communities in Great Neck, 2 in Rockville Center, Glen Cove, Garden City. So we've continued to be active there. We continue to be interested there, and we're also looking to cross the border west into Queens. There's an interesting untapped market in kind of central eastern Queens, and we continue to like western Suffolk County, where we recently built Avalon Huntington Station, which is about 30 acres at the Huntington Station train station.
Very nice development.
Thank you. And it's it's an hour train ride to Penn Station.
So I think, in summation, I think the outlook, or my apples, which are sitting over there, are shiny, and the things look good. And I know that in the years to come, Allan will be back, and Josh, Ed, and Chris, and I'll see you next week.